Let's get to the fucking news. Let's get to the news.
The gunman who killed 10 people inside a Buffalo Tops supermarket will spend the rest of his life in prison. Tensions running high at the shooter's sentencing hearing this morning. Alexis McAdams joins us with the latest. Alexis, this happened during victim impact statements. Things got pretty heated. What happened?
Yeah, John, it was an emotional day in the courtroom. We knew that was going to be the case. This shooting happened 9 months ago, but this is still in these people's minds every single day. These heartbroken families talking directly to that gunman who took 10 innocent lives. One told the suspect she wanted to choke him out, and then there was chaos in that courtroom. Watch.
They should let you have a couple hits, by the way. I'm a firm believer in rehabilitative justice. I think the justice system should serve everyone equally. But, like, you should get at least a couple hits. You know what I mean? It's kind of fucked up. It's kind of fucked up that they just, like, immediately separate you, you know? Just a couple, dude. Come on. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? I'm not talking permanent damage, but just a little bit of stress release, you know? Just a few. And then rehabilitation can start. You know what I mean? Victim impact state, but literally, yeah, exactly. Yeah, victim impact. And by impact, you're impacting the shooter with your punches, with your fists, or kicks, if you would like to use that. Maybe a headbutt, if you want to get crazy with it. You know what I mean? Like a couple. I do think that would be fine to do. Anyway. Oh my God. Oh my God, MHUD. I had no idea. Oh my God, I'm looking at the mod chat. That's crazy. Sorry, that's an insane story. Holy fuck. As someone who believes in rehabilitative justice, isn't it funny to make a joke like that? Yes, it is.
You gonna come to our city and decide you don't like black people. Man, you don't know a damn thing about black people. We're human. We like our kids to go to good schools. We love our kids. We never go in those neighborhoods and take people out. Don't do it.
Come on. That's fucked up. Let him get a couple, dude. That is actually fucked up. You have to let him get a couple, dude. No, like just one or two, man. 1 to 2. At least, I mean, in a perfect world. Yeah, no. Oh my God, you motherfuckers knew immediately. Wow, what a kind young man taken is handed a card. Wow, I now regret to inform you that Mr. Radmilk, yeah. Okay, this was the story, by the way. Okay. Before we get to the Buffalo thing here, this is extremely online. If you're an extremely online leftist, you've probably fucking seen this dude before. Radmilk is the account. Okay. He apparently got killed by cops. Okay. He got killed by cops, by the Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies. He was shot and killed by Palmdale. He was a poster. Now, people probably don't know the full details of this dude. But like, he was just this fucking insane weirdo. He was a leftist poster or whatever who like kind of got brain broken by turf disease. You remember how I told you being anti-trans is actually a mental illness, and it basically makes it changes your entire perception. It changes your entire life. It changes your attitude. It changes your brain. Yeah, he became like a turf. And he just lost his fucking mind. He was like a known abuser. He was a known domestic abuser. And not only was he like a known abusive person, he also, on top of that, was, had turf brain disease. This person is like, what the fuck? My friend Everett passed away. He was a creative inspiration and insanely kind friend. He helped me through so much. I'm absolutely devastated he was family. Please consider donating to the GoFundMe to help his wife and children. The person that they're talking about is Radmilk, who I'm blocked by, apparently. Didn't even know that. That's fun. This is what happens when you block me on Twitter, for the record. I'm sure you've seen this tweet pic before. Anyway, well, now I'm blocked for life. So, anyway, what was I going to say? You're blocked by 75% of Twitter. I'm blocked by all the most extremely online motherfuckers. Okay, that's it. Turf brain disease is the best thing I've heard today. I'm dying. No, it is literally true. If you know anything about transphobia, it's like, don't even do it a little bit, okay? Don't even dip your toes in that pool, because the other side of that pool is just darkness. You literally, like, most people's starting position is transphobic, and like, obviously that kind of behavior can be unlearned. It's social conditioning. We've talked about it a lot, but there is like one level. Every person is given a choice, okay? It's kind of like that meme where you have a car that is, there's two different directions the car can go to, and it's like, Your starting point is transphobic because that's just the normative, that's the normative learned behavior, right? Gender is really important, and the way we understand it is very rigid. You can either take a left and like go from being a passive transphobe to being understanding and not being transphobic, okay? Or you can take a right and just hook a right and be like, no, there's definitely only two genders and everyone's crazy and I'm the only sane one. And when you hook that right into the transphobia turf avenue, okay? If you hook a right into transphobia avenue, you start consuming material that reconfirms your suspicions, you know what I mean? That helps you dive further into your cognitive biases about how like there definitely is only two genders or whatever, and then your life basically becomes incredibly trans involved, like more than trans people, okay? You could have just stayed on the same path of being like passively kind of transphobic, but like not giving a shit about it overall and not making it like your entire personality, okay? But you get sucked into this like transphobia pipeline, and on the other side of that is just like J.K. Rowling, Dave Chappelle. Now, these are the best and brightest of the transphobes, right? The best that they have to offer. But these are people who have basically destroyed their own legacies, destroyed like any kind of creative output that they potentially had that they could do for the world, because they're just brain broken with like whatever the fuck is happening with trans people, right? Like they're literally hyper focused on trans people. Like every single day of their lives is dedicated to like figuring out who's trans. Now, on the basically the worst end of this pipeline, okay? This tweet did not age well. Oh my God. Unfollowed for inactivity. Butter. I'm a white guy. Pantomime's not getting shot by cops. So you just hyper focus. You just hyper focus on trans people. It's like something that you can't get your mind off of. And then at the worst end of that, okay, you become like the type of person who is, what was it called? I knew Radmilk for 9 years. I've been warning people about him for the past 5. Lots of people didn't believe me about him being a piece of shit. One of his last thoughts online was that non-binary people don't exist. Now who doesn't exist, bud? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's such a short transvestigations. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's such a short trip from mild transphobia to becoming a transvestigator weirdo and accusing random people of being trans. When you get to the final stage of transphobia, you become a transvestigator. We've talked about this before. I'm sure you guys have seen it where you think like all Hollywood celebrities who are definitely cis are actually trans, which is funny because it ultimately turns back around and it loops into like abolishing gender in a weird way, because like if everyone is trans, then technically no one is trans, if you know what I'm saying, where like they think that people in their lives are actually secretly trans, and like they start seeing trans people not only in like the news and the media and all the time, and like, you know, building kitty litter boxes or whatever at schools, but they also start believing that like the cash register lady is actually trans. You know what I mean? It's just like you just hit this like insanity. You hit the last stage of turf brain, and you become this person who thinks everyone around you is trans. Being transphobic is not the default. We get conditioned into starting with blue, pink gender reveals and shit like that. No, that's... You just redescribed my perspective. You just redescribed the thing that I said. I said transphobia is the normative state that most people start off with because it's learned behavior as a consequence of our improper understanding of gender being a rigid binary. You literally took that and then wrote it back to me in the chat, but with less words. Anyway, we're both saying the same thing. Okay, so anyway, less words equal better? No, that's not. I am describing it with more words because I want to describe all of the elements of it. Okay, anyway. So, apparently he was like a, you know, he was like a very, like a bad dude, very bad dude. Anyway, he got murdered by the police because he was trying to murder his wife with a knife, as far as I understand. Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department deputies shot and killed a poster. A man they say was armed with a blade in Palmdale Friday night. The shooting occurred around about 10:20 p.m. After deputies responded to a domestic violence report. The man who was armed with an edged weapon moved towards the deputies, prompting at least one of them to open fire, according to the department, which said a blade was recovered on the scene. Now, I'll just say it like this. I don't think the cop should have killed him. Okay? I don't think the cop should have killed him, but, you know, that's police brutality for you. That's a police state for you. They definitely could have apprehended him without murdering him. But they didn't. Important part of this. Drill tweeted about this. Is this offer still standing? God damn. He said, I can't offend non-binary people because they simply do not exist. Anyway. One of the funny components of like transphobia is that when you get to the last level of like turf brain disease, the mental illness known as being a turf, okay, one of the funniest parts about it is that it basically proves something that I try to instill in people all the time, and that is that gender does not have a rigid binary, and it's more so like an expression. It's more so just social conditioned behaviors and social conditions. It's like a clothes that you put on top of your skin, basically. And transvestigators basically reveal that because they start picking apart. You could say no, but listen, hear me out here. The reason why transvestigators, the final stage of turf brain disease, ultimately ends up seeing trans people anywhere and everywhere, okay, is because, yes, gender is not as rigid as you think it is. Sometimes you're going to see a cis woman who's going to have more masculine features. Sometimes you're going to have a guy like Ben Shapiro who has a lot of feminine qualities, like not being over 5'4", and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Short kings, I love you, okay? Or not being able to grow facial hair. Again, nothing wrong with that. That's not weird. That's not different. It's just another demonstration that gender and the way that we understand it, even in the biological components that you associate with gender, is still not the rigid binary that you claim it is. And that's precisely why a lot of these transphobic people, when they reach the last stage of their transphobia, forget to subscribe at the top of the hour when there is a 3-minute ad break. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you could do for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, or by getting gifted a sub if you're lucky. Okay. And that's it. That's you can also get gifted a sub, like I said, if you're lucky. And those are the ways that you can avoid the top of the hour ad break. Here's the 3-minute ad now. You are more talking about personalities rather than genders. You are just complicating stuff. No, I'm not. I'm not complicating stuff. It comes across as complicated to you because you understandably have gridlock in your brain because it's like really difficult for you to comprehend this. I'm not talking about nothing I said is about personalities, but you chose to read it that way. Your inability to grow a beard as a male, okay? It has nothing to do with your personality. You think like Ben Shapiro's personality is the reason why he has feminine traits? No. Gamer girl, ooh woo, thank you for the 5, get the subs. Yeah. It is certainly an expression. What the fuck? Hates Bitcoin was seized by the Romanian police. How is that even possible? I'm sure it's not all of it, but how is it possible to seize an asset like Bitcoin? Also, how is it possible for them to just disrespect this man's hairline more every fucking day? God damn, dude. I feel like they're doing it on purpose. They got to be doing it on purpose, right? Bald by choice, by the way. Again. So yeah, all I was gonna say is, don't you as a human being living in the developed Western world are most likely fed a whole bunch of shit from the jump about gender that's like antiquated and overall not true, outdated, right? And you personally believe in that stuff, go off on that shit, hyper focus on it, and you have two options. You can either like recognize that a lot of that stuff is just a suggestion and ultimately untrue, okay, and that trans people should be left alone and allowed to do whatever the fuck they want as long as they're not hurting anybody, and they certainly are not hurting anyone by operating in society. Or you can just become insanely transphobic because it makes you feel better about these suspicions that you had, makes you feel better about like all the things that gave you comfort, like what your gender means to you. You know what I mean? And when you do that on the other side, when you go down that other path, though, when you go down that transphobic path, unfortunately, you become completely fucking brain broken. And the more brain broken you become, the worse your life will get. You're just like upsetting yourself for no fucking reason. You know what I mean? You're just upsetting yourself for no reason. How the fuck can you say Western Lamau women in Iran can't even bear skin because it's tempting? Wait, first of all, Iran is such a funny fucking Iran is such a funny state to mention when talking about transphobia, because I'm specifically talking about transphobia because like they're a little too pro-trans in Iran. I can't believe I'm saying that, to a degree where they do stuff that like, you know, would be considered incredibly inhumane and unacceptable when they find out you're gay, for example. Iran is the one country that you did not actually have to mention when talking about transphobia. And yet you went there for no reason. Iran is not anti-trans. Iran is anti-gay, but it's not anti-trans. Anyway. Iran is an LGB, they're just T. Yeah. All right. Not that it matters because, like, you know, every country's got some weird shit. I know someone who called you trans and gay for wearing that birth address, and therefore you were less of a man than Tate. He was being completely serious, brain broken ass compared to you to Lil Nas X. Yeah. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. I'm very comfortable with my sexuality. That, like, you know, that sort of stuff does not faze me. And ironically, if you are uncomfortable, you are less of a man. You know what I mean? Like Lil Nas X, in the way that you understand, in the way that that person understands gender and expressions of gender and masculinity, both myself and Lil Nas X are more of a man than he is. If you think about, because in a lot of instances, these people mistake like being masculine or being a man with a positive trait of being confident. That's it. When people talk about like alpha males, when people talk about being a man and what it means, like they're just talking about being a confident and successful person, right? Of course, unsurprisingly, a lot of those people are deeply insecure. Anyway, we're done with the rad milk part of this broadcast. We're gonna get back to this. Man charges the Buffalo shooter in the courtroom. It is an injustice, in my opinion, to not let this man get a couple shots in. Okay? That's my take. Just a couple. Not like full blown. He doesn't kill him. But just a couple fucking shots. Just a couple good ones.
Yeah, and as that chaos broke out, they immediately rushed the suspect out of that courtroom. Peyton Gendron is sentenced now to life in prison without any chance of parole, charged with a long list of crimes, including domestic terrorism motivated by hate and 10 counts of first-degree murder. Back in May, the 19-year-old gunman shot and killed 10 black people at this supermarket in Buffalo, New York. Police say Gendron planned that attack for weeks and targeted those innocent victims because of their skin color. These are those innocent people who lost their lives gunned down, John, while just grocery shopping that day. 9 months later, Gendron apologized to those families in court.
I did a terrible thing that day. I shot and killed people because they were black. Looking back now, I can't believe I actually did it. I believed what I read online and acted out of hate. And now I can't take it.
This is such a weird thing to like have this like twit longer ass apology when like people make this kind of apology for like, I don't know, buying something that was like considered unethical by Twitter or some shit. Not when you did one of the worst anti-black hate crimes in contemporary history. You know what I mean? It's like in the top 10. He's like, oh man, it's so crazy. Like, I just, I wrote a manifesto, bought guns, trained specifically, and then targeted the one convenience store in the black neighborhood that is like close enough to where I live. After doing something that terrible, what's the fucking point of apologizing? I think, well, the point, he's apologizing because he wants the court system to like try and make it seem like he wants the judges to like be more sympathetic. That's why he's apologizing. Yeah. Mass shooting, hate crime, then apologizes if he started playing Hogwarts Legacy. Yeah. Drove halfway across the state. It was not close. He drove like 8 hours for it. I'm saying like close enough that he could get there by car.
Back, but I wish I could. And I don't want anyone to be inspired by me and what I did.
Yeah, and right after that, John, you could hear some family members in the background yelling, "You don't mean it," and then they were taken out of the courtroom too, so a lot of emotion. Gendron faces more than 20 federal charges. It's a possibility that he could still face the death penalty, John.
Well, let's put it this way. He's going to have a long time to ruminate on the horror that he caused that day.
Yes.
Alexis, thank you.
This hateful...
I think part of the people that should be ruminating about the horror that he caused are the people that run with the exact same narrative on mainstream media like Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, and the like, who turn around and talk about the Great Replacement, which was prominently featured in this fucking dickhead's manifesto. Those are the people who should ruminate, not him. He already did what he did. He's not, very, very, very low chance of fucking recovery, very low chance of restitution, very low chance of like rehabilitation in that circumstance. There's still always a chance. There's a chance for every single person. And most people will never, ever forgive him for understandable reasons. Obviously, I'm not even going to fucking advocate for forgiveness in this circumstance, okay? But the real issue here is that the main people that basically create more of these white supremacist mass shooters, that want to create more of these white supremacist mass shooters, are out there doing the same shit with no consideration. No one even fucking thinks about it twice. Okay?
act and other similar hateful acts across the country.
I gotta pee, I'll be back.
Motivated by white supremacy and replacement theory are a reckoning for us as a nation. The ugly truth is that our nation was founded and built in part on white supremacy. However, white supremacy is not inevitable or unstoppable. It has been carefully cultivated and nurtured by individuals and the government for centuries. This is the history that we have all inherited. It has been passed down from generation to generation. We must acknowledge that history. See that history for what it is. Recognize it. And learn from it, or we are doomed to repeat it. Let ours be the generation to put a stop to it. We can do better. We must do better. Our own humanity requires it. These are hard and challenging times. Our characters are being tested. The future of our nation is at stake. Are we up to the challenge? I believe that we are. In the words of Poet Laureate Amanda Gorman, there is always light, if only we are brave enough to see it. If only we are brave enough to be it.
The stories of fear and survival.
I'm surprised that I would assume I would assume that Fox News would cover this and be like, wow, this is fucked up. I mean, this judge is doing CRT. You know? There you go. Another judge doing critical race theory here, talking about how America's like foundational principles revolve around justifying and upholding white supremacist values, you know? Woke ass judge, dude. Off topic, but this guy looks like an evil American brother of yours. Where do you find this guy? I don't see it.